Join me this October where I'll be celebrating Halloween. 31 zine reviews in 31 days. Joining me will be my friend Beanie. Welcome to another edition of Halloween. How are you doing, Beanie? You like me? Well, I like you. So let's dispense with the pleasantries and let's get on to what today's zine is, which is Testudinea, if I'm pronouncing that right. I had to actually look up the word. I'd never heard of it before. According to Google, it has something to do with amphibians in the Amazon. And if you look at the cover here, you can somewhat see the turtle with the city on its back, which is very similar to the turtle with the tower on its back. So very interesting concept. And of course, this is a Troika adventure. And here is a copy of my Troika Numinous edition by Daniel Sell. And I interviewed Daniel, and I'll put a link in the notes for you to check out. And Troika is kind of based upon the fighting fantasy or advanced fighting fantasy rule set. Very simple, 2d6. You get your bonus. Lots of people enjoy it. And Troika, because it is open for other people to create games and adventures in, it's got an enormous amount of adventures that have been written and designed for Troika. So if you are an aspiring game designer, check it out. That might be a good fit for you. But let's get into the adventure, Testudinea. So here's some background on it. So here's the table of contents: background, syndicates, enemies, spells, weapons, scoot neighborhoods, the dilemma, and city occurrences. Testudinea is an independent production of Mark Conway and is not affiliated with Nelsonia, who is the creators of Troika. So it's printed at and published by Exalted Funeral. And I know that there is also some other links that I will provide in the description. Let's read the first paragraph, just kind of see what we're in for. The most withered scrolls record even more ancient accounts of the city built upon the great wandering turtle. How even in those times it was considered a vulnerable polis. Wars were brought to and from the metropolis, its histories editorialized and vaporized by copious scholars. People settled in the rubble after hard-won victories, securing a safe haven from the passing wastes. The mountain ridges of the turtle's back gently carried herds of woolly lice as earth was lifted upward and forests grew where the rainwater collected between the shell's plates. Already ancient, the turtle's earthen shell provided plenty for its inhabitants. So very cool. There's basically people living on this city on the back of the turtle. As is typical with most Troika adventures, you have your background. So let's go through a few of them, and very evocative imagery. And actually, I would say it's very well matched to what Troika has already done for some of their backgrounds. So it pairs very well with Troika, very similar style of art. And I'll get into artist credit and all that at the end, I believe it is. But so we have Belittled Surf, Jester of the Hyena Court, Teamster of the Gyrocopter Cabby Union, Local 73, Pheromone Trader. That actually looks very interesting. Shell Maiden, Unhasted Sage. Let's go back to that. I want to read exactly what the Pheromone Trader does. That's interesting to me. You have traveled far to arrive at the famous scent markets, where one can peruse the pungent glands plucked from around the spheres. Nudged in between the hundreds of other peddlers of your trade, you waft your aromatic goodies as enticement. In your line of work, smells are not free. Very cool. Sorry, I think I skipped one here. Shell Maiden, Unhasted Sage, the Dualies, Labor is being undervalued. Property is being bought up by the Hyena Court. The strides made during the striking skirmishes years ago are beginning to fade, but the Dualies are rising in membership as protection against the Hyena Court wanes. More of the populace flocks to Dualies' cause. Okay, so their labor union appears. The Dualies are structured by 6 committees, each headed by a different Dualie leader. I hope I'm pronouncing it. I'm sure I'm not, though. The Secretariat manages day-to-day operations while the Commandant directs defense. The Premier is the head of the organization. Roll on the table below each day to create engagements undertaken by the Dualies to help spread their influence. So let's do that. 1d6, and we have a 4. Distributing aid. Well, I need a d4. And Coastal Scoot. Okay, on to other things. The Hyena Court. These are the syndicates. I probably skipped over a section where it went from backgrounds to syndicates. Yeah. Okay, so now we're in the syndicates, the Hyena Court. Class of wealthy building owners. These nobles are swathed in layers of stinking soiled furs which are never removed. Wired cages mounted on their bodies keep commoners from touching them. The wider the wearer's cage, the higher their social capital and greater their number of properties. Well, that's very interesting. And there's a drop table on this page that each day to create quarrels and schemes among the jealous members of the Hyena Court. So it's a D66. Drop twice. Oh, I don't even know. If I hit that, the Hyena Court assembles in the jawbone chamber for discussion and watch into their jester uniforms. Drop twice. Suitor wanted, must be wealthy and prone to accidents. Well, I always love the idea of drop tables, but sometimes they don't exactly enact what they you kind of hope as far as how clear they are. But anyways, fun stuff that they have in here, where they raise rents, reprimand, and then apologize to collegium militant, hire warriors to fight against their court jesters. So a number of things that could happen from the syndicates or what they're up to. And as in any setting, it's always fun to have things that happen regardless of whether the players are involved in it at all, which is kind of an OSR kind of mantra, that you are just a person in the world, and the world is actually still going to happen whether you are there or not. And it's a little bit more realistic. And I think that's the immersion part of it is what a lot of people enjoy about the OSR. Okay, here is another syndicate. The Guild of Brass and Butter. The factional infighting in the pastry tussles of a century ago were so bloody that Fat Louse Party issued a new law designed to halt the rising body count of the city's bakers. All products made with flour, water, salt, sugar, butter, and any and all combinations or incarnation are hereby illegal for the safety of city property. And of course, the sanctions only drove the various baker cells deeper into the dregs of the city. With aprons stained with blood and flour, the bakers of the guild carry on early morning deliveries of bread and murder. Well, who wouldn't want that delivered? Despite the laws in place, it is commonplace that members of the Hyena Court employ these bakers' trades in delivering the fresh confectionaries while ordering skullduggery upon their arrivals. Each bakery is its own cell operating with its own goals. The pastry tussles solidify the murdering means used by bakers to eliminate competition street by street, armed with brass hammers, rolling pins, and great butter knives. The hitman bakers take on most contracts to supplement their income to smuggle in ingredients from the outside spheres. For the hitman bakers, butter is as good as gold. Very cool syndicate. And they have a couple of random tables here. So let's see. Roll on tables to generate the insidious tasks carried out by the Guild of Brass and Butter using the devious methods at their disposal. So we rolled a 2, piping bags filled with frosted explosives. And let's see what else is here. Number 3, extort. a beguiling merchant staying in the city for D6 days. And I suppose I should roll randomly for that side, which would have been the haphazard citizens residing and working on a random street. Another syndicate, the Collegium Militant. The Collegium Militant protects the property of the Testudinea, not its citizens. It is not uncommon for collegial, I'm going to trip over some of these, Collegium Militant officers to arrive long after being called for help, only to do nothing. A militarized force, these dim and brutal mouth breathers are at war with the citizenry of Testudinea, using the strike-first tactics against demonstrations, protests, and memorials using their exorbitant armaments. So these are the goons. Here are some routine pursuits of the militant. And so you have your 1d6. One is red or pink. And you can make your way through the neighborhood requiring a one-day pass costing 2d6. If apprehended alive, you might spend 1d6, 2d6, or 3d6 nights in a neighborhood precinct holding cell, depending on the severity of the law broken. Okay. The Fat Louse Party. Several centuries ago, a nomadic people poured into the sphere from a dying world. Once shepherds of the giant woolly lice upon the scalps of the aether beast, their fleshy homeland rotted under their feet. Testudinea was a beacon to these forlorn people who victoriously sieged and took the city from the scarab-headed barons before them. The mightiest of their warriors were made kings who laid down their decrees triumphantly. With the new spoils of the city, their understanding of technology advanced tenfold. To solidify their dominion, they poured their resources into extending their lives to rule forever. The Fat Louse Party. And so that looks like they are just large gargantuan beings that try to dictate what happens. So there's games of chance in this world, lice poker. Each player has 5 6-sided dice. You go around each turn, and whoever has the best hand. Nice name, lice poker. Here are laws wagered by the Fat Louse Party. And let's see, it starts at, so it's a D6-6. So we'll go 3, 4, so 34. Dwarf tossing is unlawful unless dwarf clearly states that they are into it. Here's some enemies. Brass and butter hitman, basket mantis, caterpillar cannon, collegium militant, Dualie canvasser, Fat Louse party member, Hyena Court member, men of silver, road brought to life, a scab. So that's going back to the labor union, wizard finger, woolly louse. And here's some spells that you have access to. Change lock corners when you're being chased. So you can have the person chasing you turning another corner, again further away. Lament, wizard begins to sob furiously. All those who perceive him feel a sorrow well inside them, and they too cry. Wrong of way, reverse the direction of traffic in a street. Seating, the wizard summons a chair or stool or small bench to appear and have a nice sit while they're tired of walking. Seating lasts forever. A sneeze, wizard sticks their wiggling finger into their own nose, flares in an opponent's nostril. During their turn, they must test luck or skill for the enemies, or else whatever they attempt is interrupted by a big sneeze. Street sentience. When wizards are late, and they often are, they can upheave people's lives to slightly more convenience themselves. An awakened street heeds their command, bucking off transients and vehicles for clear passage. Lasts forever until dismissed or dispelled. Here's some weapons that are for this system, which is hook cube, An IBE, which is an improvised baker's explosive. Interesting. Going back to the bakers. Jelly net, when thrown or shot at this canister swirls into a stinging, gooey net. Targets become entangled and must test luck. Poisoned lighting gun. Crackling, hissing, old but reliable firearm sputters forth sickly green lightning, which causes veins to blacken with toxins. The target struck must test luck or else take additional damage. A rail rifle. A new model of magnetic barrel firearms that launch objects at high speeds over far distances. Any object up to the size of the hand grenade is able to be utilized as ammunition, making it an easy weapon for improvising ammo on the go. A skullbanger grenade. Grimacing long-handled explosives that render targets momentarily incapacitated. Targets within 3 meters of a skullbanger grenade must test luck or become blind and deaf until the end of the round. So here is the neighborhoods in the back of the turtle. We have marginal scoot neighborhoods are the lowest tier on the shell, occupying the front and the back rim. They are often cramped, noisy, and with lots of working and lower class citizens living there. They are lively, colorful, and diverse. They're people having carved out tiny little lives with them. Coastal scoot neighborhoods are the middle tier on the shell, occupying the mid flanks. They are more open and less residential than the marginal scoots, containing many shops and homes of the lower Hyena Court members. Vertebral scoot neighborhoods are the highest tier of the shell, occupying the very top central ridge. They house massive estates belonging to the most wealthy of the Hyena Court members. It is here that a steel citadel is hidden where the Fat Louse party resides. And you can see the maps correlating with the colors. This might have been an opportunity. I love the idea of the tortoise back, and I would love to have seen like a more in-depth map, but it is what it is sometimes, you can't have everything, and this is very evocative on its own. The dilemma. So here's some dilemmas. What is known? Telescope intelligence reports that an ocean awaits in the distance, the great turtle crawling straight for it. They estimate that the city will arrive in 66 days, 21 days average. After that point, the city appendages will become submerged, and the marginal scoots, followed by the coastal scoots, finally the vertebral scoots. Well, that's cool. It's like climate change on the turtle's back. Here's another adventure hook. The great turtle crawls forward with no way to stop it. However, it intends to lay a clutch of 2d6 plus 3 eggs within the sands first. Some denizens may settle upon the shores and wait for the eggs to hatch, clambering aboard the massive baby turtles to start wandering townships. Very cool. And just here's a random list of occurrences. So once again, D6 table. Oh, missed that. Oh, rolling in 2 and 2, 22. Anti-gravity loiter deterrent devices have been installed in a random coastal scoot neighborhood. So lots of kind of fun adventure hooks. Final page here, 34. Some more random shops. Random weirdo. I love Normal Paul as the random weirdo. Random street. Scoot tier. Random occupation. Well, that's a fun little adventure. I like the idea of it, and let's just go through again and give credit where credit's due. Written by Mark Conway, layout by Mark Conway, edited by Dylan Davis, cover art by Neil Conway. I assume a relation there. So Mark and Neil Conway, and illustrations in order of appearance: Mark Conway, Matthew Nevers, Andrew Walter, Robin Gibson, and Roque Romero. So well done. Fun little adventure. Troika really offers up a lot of ammunition for you to build your own adventures and games in. So you should check it out. Once again, I'll put the link to the interview with Daniel Sell, the designer of Troika, and you can check that out. And remember, if you want to enter into the draw for $200 at store credit at Exalted Funeral, we will be doing that draw on Halloween Day, and go to our website to enter.
Happy Halloween.